I disagreed with her. And what we had to do was later on at like 10 at night when Victoria was asleep, I'd say to her, Vixie asked us that and you answered so quickly, and I actually, while I agreed with you in front of her, I actually disagree with that decision and was kind of caught out. So, the ideal there is always to show a united front and never to let the child divide and conquer you. So what I would suggest very strongly is that you go home tonight. In fact, it would be very cool to know how many of you are actually watching this or listening to this with your partner right now. How many of you are huddled together, hopefully holding hands or snuggling with a cup of coffee or hot chocolate and watching this together. If you just put yes in the comments or in the chat box, I'd be very keen to know that. So what I would suggest is that either later on tonight at 8 o'clock after dinner, get yourself a glass of red wine, sit down and say, sweetheart, this is how I would like us to deal with money. This is how I would like us to deal with sex. This is how I would like us to deal with authority. And I suggest you get very, very, very frank, very candid and say, this is how much money I need, and this is how I would like to spend it. And in the sexual area, get very specific. I would like to have sex 3 times a week, or I would like to have sex 7 times a week, or I'd like to have sex twice a year, once on your birthday and once on New Year's Eve, whatever that may be. And be very candid with that one and say, that thing you're always asking us to do, well, it ain't ever going to happen, so stop asking. And then in the authority, just get in some lines of authority and how we make decisions. And if you can get these 3 working for you, they make such a huge difference in your relationship. Yes, so for those of you who are engaged, as Brandon mentioned, I wrote a book, So You're Engaged Now What? This is really a book around, once you're engaged, how do you plan your wedding? So how to find a minister, how to find a venue, how to find a DJ, how to find wedding rings, what if it rains. I've got some of my non-denominational services in there, and it's really, really very, very cool. So if you're engaged, you're welcome to go to my website. You can see the URL there, and you can download it for free. All you have to do is obviously leave me your email address to get that. I'll put you onto my distribution list, and once a week I'll send you some really cool tips on being engaged and planning your wedding. My favorite subject of all times really is around values, and of course this is the study of axiology. It's the basis of human behavior. It's what Dr. DeMartini speaks about every single time he does a talk or does the breakthrough experience or any of his courses. And it's a beautiful part, and it's such an important part of marriage. And the theory or the teaching really is that we have a set of values, and they are fingerprint specific. In other words, you are 100% unique. There are over 7 billion people on earth, and there's no one exactly like you. The truth is the same for your partner. And once again, I reiterate that whenever I work with couples who are in trouble, it's because one partner is trying to superimpose their values on their partner. And that the other partner will find that. So what very often happens is when you're in that chemistry stage, when you've just met, where everything's all perfect and working and congruent, one of you generally will submit, or both of you will submit, and you'll submit to your partner and their needs and wants and their values. But over time, and I find it takes a year or two for you to kind of split out of that chemistry phase back into reality. And at that point, you may find the person who submitted the most has started to build resentment, and will then, almost like a volcano, just at some stage erupt and try to take their power back.